Hey, y'all, welcome back to the channel where we dive into real stories, the kind that make you laugh, cry, maybe even want to throw something at the screen. Today's no different. Picture this, a quiet suburban street, kids racing bikes, neighbors waving over picket fences, and then, bam, one woman's power trip turns our little slice of heaven into a battlefield. This is the story of how a shiny new bike for my son sparked a war with the neighborhood's HOA dictator and how we fought back. We live in Willow Creek, a postcard-perfect suburb just outside Charlotte, North Carolina, the kind of place where folks mow their lawns on Saturday mornings and kids build forts in backyards. My husband, Mike, and I were just your average parents, trying to raise our 10-year-old son, Lucas, to be kind, brave, and maybe not crash his skateboard into the mailbox too often. For Lucas's birthday last spring, we went all out, saved up for months to get him this sleek black mountain bike he'd been eyeing at the shop, the kind with gears that clicked just right. When he tore off the wrapping paper, his eyes lit up like it was Christmas morning, and he was out the door before we could even cut the cake, pedaling down the street, wind in his hair, free as a bird. That bike wasn't just a gift, it was his ticket to adventure, his way to explore the winding trails the HOA had built for the kids, a rare thing they ought to right. Now, Willow Creek's mostly peaceful, but every Eden's got its serpent, and ours was Deborah, or, as the neighbors called her behind her back, Queen Deb. She's the HOA president, the kind of person who'd measure your grass with a ruler and slap you with a fine if it's half an inch too long. With her frosted highlights and that fake smile she'd flash at block parties, Deb ruled the neighborhood like it was her kingdom. Her son, Tyler, 12 and mean as a hornet, was her little enforcer. Tyler had it out for Lucas from day one, maybe because Lucas was quieter, maybe because he had that shiny new bike Tyler couldn't touch. It started small. Tyler'd cut Lucas off on the trails, shove him at the playground, try to borrow the bike and not give it back. Mike and I took the polite route, knocked on Deb's door, had a chat over iced tea, and asked her to talk to Tyler. She'd just laugh it off, that high-pitched chuckle that made my skin crawl, saying, "Oh, boys will be boys, Sarah. You know how it is." No, Deb, I didn't know how it was, because my kid wasn't out there terrorizing people. Things got worse. One evening, Lucas came home, helmet in hand, cheeks red, and told us Tyler tried to yank his bike right out from under him. "I didn't let him, Dad," he said, voice shaky but proud. "I told him to back off, like you said." Mike had sat him down a week before, told him, "Son, sometimes you gotta stand your ground, not to fight, but to show you're not scared." I was proud, but there was this knot in my stomach, like I knew Deb wouldn't let this slide. Sure enough, the next day, Lucas went out to ride with his buddies, same as always. I was folding laundry, humming along to some old country tune, when the front door slammed so hard it rattled the windows. There was Lucas, tears streaming down his face, dragging what was left of his bike handlebars twisted, frame snapped like someone had taken a sledgehammer to it. My heart stopped. "What happened, baby?" I asked, dropping everything. Between sobs, he told me. They'd been racing on the trail, laughing, when Deb stormed up out of nowhere, face red, screaming like a banshee. Tyler was there, smirking, arms crossed. Deb started yelling at Lucas, saying he'd attacked Tyler the day before, pushed him, left him bruised and hurting. Lucas tried to explain, "I didn't, Mom. I just stood up for myself." But Deb wasn't having it. She grabbed his bike, threw it to the ground, and stomped on it, over and over, screaming, "This is what happens when you don't respect your neighbors." The other kids stood there, frozen, as she handed Lucas the wreckage and told him to think about his actions. My blood was boiling, but when I pulled Lucas into a hug, all I could feel was his little body shaking. That's when someone knocked on the door. It was Jen, mom of Lucas's friend Nate, looking madder than I'd ever seen her. "Sarah, you need to see this," she said, holding out her phone. Nate had recorded the whole thing, every shout, every stomp, Tyler grinning like he'd won the lottery. I watched, my stomach churning, as Deb tore into my son like he was some kind of criminal. "She can't get away with this," Jen said. "We've got your back." That video was our lifeline, and as I tucked Lucas into bed that night, his face still streaked with tears, I knew this wasn't just about a bike anymore. It was about standing up to a bully who thought she was untouchable. Mike and I didn't sleep much. Over coffee at the kitchen table, we made a plan. "This ends now," Mike said, his voice low, The kind of calm that means business. He called our lawyer, a guy from church who'd handled some property stuff for us before, and laid it all out. The bullying, the bike, the video. By morning, we'd filed a lawsuit against Deb for property damage, emotional distress, the works. Then we walked over to her house, my heart pounding like a drum. Deb opened the door, all smug, arms crossed. "Here to apologize for your little delinquent," she sneered. Before I could snap, Tyler slunk out, his arm in a shiny new cast, looking like he'd rehearsed this scene. Mike didn't flinch. "Funny," he said, pulling out his phone. "This video from yesterday shows Tyler using both arms just fine." We played it. Deb's face went white as the video rolled, her voice echoing, "Actions have consequences." She stammered, tried to spin it. "Your son's a menace. He hurt my boy." But right then, a courier walked up, handed her an envelope. "Deborah Mitchell?" he asked. She snatched it, tore it open, and there it was, the lawsuit, in black and white. "You'll hear from our lawyer," I said, turning to leave, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The trial came fast, and let me tell you, walking into that courtroom felt like stepping into a movie. Deb sat there, all polished, with some hotshot lawyer who probably cost more than our car. Our lawyer, Emily, was a firecracker sharp, no nonsense, and ready to fight. She played the video first, and the room went dead quiet. You could hear Deb's voice, shrill and unhinged, as she smashed Lucas's bike. Jurors shifted in their seats, some shaking their heads. Jen took the stand, told everyone how Deb had been lording over Willow Creek for years, fining people for dumb stuff, like leaving a trash can out too long. Other neighbors backed her up, painting a picture of a woman who'd bullied anyone who crossed her. When it was my turn, I looked right at the jury and told them about Lucas, how he loved that bike, how he'd come home crying, holding its broken pieces. "No kid should go through that," I said, my voice catching. Not because some adult decided to play judge and jury. Deb's lawyer tried to twist it, saying Lucas had pushed Tyler, causing an injury. Emily shut that down fast, pulling out a photo Jen's husband had snapped the day after Tyler, no cast, shooting hoops in his driveway like nothing happened. The jury didn't buy Deb's sob story either. She got up there, mumbling about stress and misunderstandings, but it was too late. The judge laid it out. Deb had to pay for the bike, cover our legal fees, and fork over damages for what she'd done to Lucas. Oh, and 100 hours of community service, to learn some respect. When the gavel hit, I felt like I could breathe again. Lucas ran up outside, his new bike gleaming in the sun. "Did we win, Mom?" he asked. I hugged him tight. "Yeah, buddy, we did." Life in Willow Creek changed after that. Deb was out as HOA president faster than you can say special election. Neighbors started speaking up, sharing their own horror stories about her reign, petty fines, nasty emails, you name it. A few months later, Deb and Tyler moved away, their house sitting empty, like a ghost of her tyranny. The neighborhood felt alive again. Block parties, kids playing without looking over their shoulders, folks talking to each other. We got Lucas a new bike, blue this time, and watching him race down the street, laughing with his friends, was worth every second of that fight. It wasn't just about the bike, it was about showing Lucas that you don't let bullies win, no matter how powerful they think they are. But here's the thing that keeps me up sometimes. Deb wasn't born a monster. Maybe she was insecure. Maybe she thought controlling everyone was the only way to feel big. Part of me wonders if we could have stopped her sooner, if someone had called her out years ago. What do you think? Have you ever dealt with a bully like Deb, someone who hid behind a title or a fake smile? Drop a comment. Share your story. I read every one. And if this hit home, give it a like. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Let's keep these stories alive, because standing up, that's what changes everything. See y'all next time.